Hi, welcome to For Goodness Sakes. I was sitting in church listening to a sermon when I heard of the phrase, search for the lost person. I immediately wrote the words down, believing that they would help me write an inspiring column. However, a week later, the only thing I could remember from the sermon is that God doesn't reject us when we sin. He doesn't come after us with a big stick and chase us down to punish us. No, he forgives us and loves us and gives us another chance. Of course he does. He's God, after all. We humans are to follow that example, seeking the lost and struggling and reaching out with love. However, being human, I often fall short of that concept. When God drops a needy being on my doorstep, I have been known to step right over them. At times, and I do hate to confess this, I have probably stepped right on them. Probably because I'm so caught up in my own little world and life. Of course, I am figuratively speaking. I haven't really looked out my door and found a needy person there. Oh, well, wait, I take that back. There was one time. Late one night, the doorbell rang. Only my daughter and I were home. It was a bitterly cold night, way below zero. As I went to the door, a young adolescent boy. As I went to the door, I made sure it was locked, and then I pulled up the window shade. There stood a young adolescent boy, somewhere between the ages of 14 to 16. He spoke to me through the glass. Can I come in and use the phone? It's so cold. I couldn't tell if his day's condition was drug-related or otherwise induced. My heart broke for him, but I couldn't let him in. It just wouldn't have been safe. I can't let you in, but there's a convenience store a block away, I said. I pointed in the right direction. I felt awful turning him away. He looked so miserable. I felt even worse when I looked down at his feet as he turned to go. He was in stockings, feet covered with snow. So I called the police to tell them about this lost boy, and within minutes I saw the lights of the police car about a block away. I later found out he was a runaway. I guess I did the right thing, helping him as much as I possibly could, considering my daughter's and my own safety. But after listening to that sermon on Sunday, I have to ask myself, do I, in my everyday life, seek out and reach out to lost, hurting souls? Do I forgive loved ones with the ease God expects us if they have hurt or offended me? Some of my favorite males would say they would never need forgiving because they never do anything wrong. Well, they may be right. Still, sometimes I find myself full of anger and hurt toward the people I love the most. Many of us find it easier to forgive and be giving towards a stranger than our own family members. I've counseled clients who are the kindest, most giving people to the outside world, yet intensely hang on to a grudge against a family member. In some cases, the grudges have gone on for years, ruining both the grudger's and the grudgee's life. Sorry, I know grudgy isn't a word, but I think it's kind of a great one. Forgiveness has been on my mind a lot lately. I'm not real sure why. Maybe it has to do with that sermon. Anyway, I've come to the conclusion with big long-term hurts, we need a process, a procedure, a ceremony or something to heal and move on. Maybe we need to journal about it. That's what I do a lot. Till all the anger and hurt are vomited onto the page. It's one of my favorite ways to deal with anger and hurt. Maybe we need to write a letter to the loved one who we had a grudge against and then has died. As crazy as it sounds, it can help. maybe a ceremony like a woman I read about who was getting a divorce. She took the pictures and mementos of her marriage to the spot where she and her ex-husband used to go. And she talked to them a bit. Then she said goodbye. And then she tore them up and threw them in the ocean. I'm not suggesting that we litter the landscape with our mementos, but some process, some way to put hurts of the past away can be helpful to allow us to move on with life. We forgive not as much for the person that we are forgiving, because sometimes they will never apologize, and often they don't. But we forgive so we don't carry around the anger and hurt. And it's very damaging to us, almost sometimes more than the person that has wronged us. One last comment, because this is getting too long. Many of us have the most difficulty forgiving ourselves when we mess up. And I think maybe that's where the sermon message comes in. Remember, there is always someone with a capital S who loves and forgives us no matter what we've done. Maybe I remember that sermon better than I thought I did. Thanks for tuning in.